Sports on CBC, brought to you in part by Les Championnats U-Sport. Vous êtes présenté par the Government of Canada, le gouvernement du Canada. Barron, exclusive supplier of U-Sports Championship rings, le fournisseur exclusif des bagues des championnats U-Sport. Nike Team, just do it, faites-le. Veriburn, medical supply partner of varsity athletics since 1979. Partenaire de sport universitaire depuis 1979. Fox 40, celebrating a decade of the Fox 40 U-Sports Coach of the Year program. Fier partenaire des prix de l'entraîneur de l'année U-Sport depuis 10 ans.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Investors Group Athletics Center on the University of Manitoba campus in Winnipeg. We are mere minutes away from opening serve in what is the 2022 U-Sports Men's Volleyball National Championship presented by CBC Sports. It's the Alberta Golden Bears and the Calgary Dinos. The interprovincial rivalry should be a fantastic match. I'm Jared Brown, and I'm joined again by Adam DeYonk here. And Adam, we've seen these two teams battle all season long. Should be a fantastic match to book their ticket to the gold medal game tomorrow.
Absolutely, Jared. This is a match that we've all been waiting for, and what more thrilling than a provincial match? I mean, these will be the 8th time that these two teams play one another this season. That is just such a unique kind of wrinkle to this tournament and to this matchup in particular at the U-Sports Men's Volleyball National Championship. So we're thrilled, we're excited. We know these are two incredibly physical, incredibly skilled teams, so we expect a heavyweight tilt here in this first semifinal. What a treat.
Yeah, we couldn't ask for much more. Two fantastic teams, a lot of history between them, huge rivalry. We're expecting to be a real great match. At this time, it's the Momentum Volleyball Report. You can get information about Canadian volleyball at home and abroad. Visit momentumvolleyball.ca.
Thank you for joining us for today's U-Sports semifinal matchup between the number 3 ranked University of Alberta Golden Bears and the number 7 ranked Calgary Dinos. Yesterday in quarterfinal 1, the Dinos knocked off the McMaster Marauders in 4 sets to advance. They were led by second-team All-Canadian and first-team Canada West All-Star Hamish Hazeldin, who finished with 17 kills, a .326 attacking percentage, and also 4 aces in the match. In quarterfinal number 2, the Golden Bears made quick work of the Queen's Gales, winning in straight sets. Golden Bears stacked up 11 aces in the match, and were also led offensively by Isaac Heslinga, who finished with 8 kills and a .353 attacking percentage. Calgary and Alberta have played each other 7 times already this year. They split the regular season series with 3 wins apiece. However, the Golden Bears did win the most recent match 3-1 in the Canada West semifinal. Our key to the game is managing emotions and minimizing errors. Both teams have veteran setters and leaders on the court who will do a better job of staying calm and keeping the ball in play.
Welcome back inside the Investors Group Athletic Center in Winnipeg. You're watching the 2022 U Sport Men's Volleyball Championship presented by Mikasa on CBC. I'm Jared Brown, joined again by Adam DeYonk here, and we are just mere minutes away from opening serve between the Alberta Golden Bears and the Calgary Dinos. Let's quickly get you the starting lineups. First of all, for the Dinos, number 4, the setter, Thomas Sora. The outside, number 7, Hamish Hazelden. Number 10, Parker Siroshka. Number 11, Louis Kunzman. Number 14, Liam Kupi. Number 18, Lincoln Baines. And the libero, number 8, Austin Elchuk. Head coach in his 15th season is Rod Durant. For the Golden Bears, number 3, Billy Johnstone. Number 4, Jordan Canham. Number 5, Cam Kern. Number 7, Max Elgert. Number 12, Graydon Weeb. And number 17, Isaac Haslinga. The libero is number 11, Landon Curry. Your officials for this match are Scott Zewerts and Matt Van Relty. That's all the particulars. We're just ready to get started. And Adam, we've been chatting with different people throughout the tournament today, you know, both in-house and kind of getting messages from everybody. And they were so excited about this game. It's just going to be a heavyweight tilt between the Dinos and the Golden Bears.
It certainly is. And we've already alluded to it in this broadcast, but such a unique season for the teams across the country, but especially for this certain matchup. These guys have seen each other 7 times previously. Alberta has gotten the best of Calgary 5 times. Calgary only winning twice throughout their matchups thus far. So there's been a lot of familiarity, and I think that plays into both teams' strengths here, because when you've seen a team so many times throughout the season, there really isn't much of a game plan. There's just so much familiarity. It's just really going to boil down to execution, and I think that is what both sides need to dial in on, and they've had so much exposure to the game. This is the end of the road for both teams throughout this season. They just need to come out, and whoever is going to execute at a higher efficiency is likely going to be the team that comes out on top.
You know, what's so interesting about this matchup is with the way the schedule is set up this season, you know, they are from that same division. And they've played each other so many times that they definitely know each other well. There won't be any surprises between these two teams. It'll just simply be a matter of who can execute better on this particular day in this best-of-5 matchup. And based on how the season has gone, I mean, you know, I think you could maybe give Alberta the slight edge based on the matchup, but it was Calgary who defeated them, you know, 2 of the last 3 times they played. Alberta beat them in the playoffs there recently, but I mean, these two teams, the margin between them is very much razor thin. So we're just getting wrapped up with the starting lineups in-house here at the University of Manitoba and expecting a good-sized crowd for the 2 semifinals tonight. If you're just tuning in, it was Manitoba who took down Toronto in the consolation semifinal in the previous game, and McMaster who started the day off by defeating Queens. So those 2 teams will go head-to-head tomorrow in the consolation final to get things kicked off, and then we await to see who will be in that gold medal match, and then who will be the teams who will drop down for bronze. It should be a great night. We're looking forward to this, and it's a little bit cold outside, but we expect it to be real hot inside this gym. Should be fun. I mean, the history between these two teams too, Adam. I mean, they've played each other so many times this season, but dating back over the years, I mean, these are historic, you know, blue blood type programs within the U Sports, especially in the Canada West Conference, and multiple national championships between the 2 of them. Actually, the first opportunity I ever had to work a U Sports Championship, 2010 in Kamloops Thompson Rivers, it was the Dinos who took down the Golden Bears in that semifinal 12 years ago and then went on to win, which was Calgary's last national championship in 2010. So they will try to do the same thing again this evening with Alberta in their way.
Could you be the common denominator here, Jared? That could be a little bit of an intangible we didn't quite expect coming into this match.
Didn't factor that one in before the game, but it will be Alberta. Cam Kern who will put the first serve in play. Passed up off the net there. Just going to be a free ball opportunity coming here for the Bears. Soft block kept alive. Curry comes in, sets a slinga, dug up there in the back row. Siroshka blocked, covered, but not enough. First point of the afternoon goes to the Golden Bears.
I think we're going to see a lot of blocks happen in this match, Jared. The level of serving that both of these teams offer is at such a high velocity that there's going to be a lot of broken play opportunities. So we saw Alberta successful on covering their attackers. Calgary, not so much in that rally, but that is going to be a big key for both sides.
We'll get to the story of Cam Kern, I'm sure, at some point throughout this match, but it's an interesting one for sure as he puts that serve in play. And then out of the back row, number 4, Jordan Canham hits that one long. We're tied 1-1. And going back to serve now for the Dinos is number 11, Louis Kunzmann. Kunzmann from Bad Soden, Germany. And actually interesting here, he played with Blaine Cranston, who is an alumni of the Dinos. And they played together on the United Volleys in 2019-2020, which led to him ending up at the University of Calgary. So the world works in interesting ways sometimes of how players find their way to certain programs.
Yeah, and interesting to see kind of the reversal there, Jared. You usually see university players move on after their career and play pro, but it's interesting to see the pipeline almost work in reverse and shifting a pro player out to the university scene. Interesting connection there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Graydon Wiebe back to serve. Ball's passed off the net by Koopy. Set over to the Golden Bears side. Elgert outside. Hslinga through the block and down. Point Alberta.
Hslinga is just in his first season here with the Golden Bears. He has played a very important role for this team as he continues to put balls away. This is what we saw all throughout the Canada West playoffs with how impressive he played through that stretch as well. Big factor to Alberta's success, and if he can have a solid start in this match, it's going to do big things for that team.
Wiebe serving again, taken there by Koopy. Sora goes up to save it, and Wiebe can't come up with the tip. Side out Calgary.
Impressive athleticism there from Tom Sora, as we're going to see this pass. He has to climb the ladder, but not just to deliver that set in the right location, but to keep himself clean off of the net. That is an incredibly skilled play just made, and he is a player who is going to make plays like that look very easy all night long.
Hamish Hazelden on the line. Pass there by Hslinga. Elgert goes back to him on the left, through the block and down, side out Alberta.
The tempo of the Golden Bears offense is humming right now, Jared, as we see the delivery off the setter's hands here. That ball is not, there's no rainbow to that ball. It is flat, it is delivered with speed, and that is a nightmare for the Dinos block.
Elgert, the setter, back to serve. Spin serve goes long, side out Dinos. It's interesting, with this crowd situation here, basically, there's friends and family and supporters for both teams, but kind of for the most part, a lot of people here who are, impartial to the match. And I think as the game goes on, they're going to probably choose which team they're kind of backing, depending on the way the game is going. And kind of interesting dynamic as the Winnipeg fans are cheering for those two teams. And there isn't really a lot of connections, Manitoba-wise, to either of these two programs.
Well, but the connection from the setter to the middle here, Jared, is a very good one, as Billy Johnstone, he is one of those impressive jumpers. He contorts his body up at the net, and he can pretty much choose any shot he wants. We see him selecting position 1 there.
Ball passed over the net there by Elchuk. Elgert goes middle to Johnstone, and he goes off the hands of Baines and out of bounds. Another point for the Bears. Should mention Johnstone from New Zealand, so some international flavor here with Johnstone from New Zealand and Hazelden mentioned from Australia. Kunzmann from Germany. Once again, it'll be Hslinga serving. Pass there by Sorochka. Middle to Baines, dug up by Hslinga. Elgert on the run. Canham just sort of sets it through the block almost. Power tip, but it works. It's effective. 7-3 now is the advantage for Alberta.
Good selection, and the Alberta defense has been a problem so far in this match. They're not just extending rallies through defense, but they're putting it in a position where they can run their offense with speed, and that's a nightmare in transition for the Dinos. Right now, they're going to have to put a little bit more pressure on them or rely on some errors like we just saw from the service line there.
So easy side out there for Calgary to look to try to cut into this early advantage for Alberta. 7-4 is the score in this opening set in our first of 2 semifinals tonight on CBC Sports. 2022 U Sport Men's Volleyball National Championship. Baines serve. Taken there by Hslinga. Outside to Kern, and Kern puts it down with authority. And I think, Adam, this is as great a time as any to explain the story of Cam Kern's journey this season.
Yeah, he's a setter by trade, but obviously due to the injury to Braden Friesen late in this conference season for the Alberta Golden Bears, he had to fill this role, and he has done an immaculate job stepping up in a big way and in an unorthodox way. Not his kind of, trained position, but he's done a fantastic job, and we've seen him excel, and that's a great example. That kill was put down with authority, not something that just any old athlete or any setter can just pick up and do.
No, he looked pretty smooth there, and I think it's one of those scenarios where if you didn't know, you wouldn't know, right? And I think that's what kind of makes it pretty interesting, is he had made a pretty seamless transition from center to left side. And from what I understand, I think he kind of was the one potentially that kind of came forward and brought that as an option of something. Hey, if we need me to do this, I'm willing to do it. And kind of a bit of that next man up mentality, but in a completely different position, really reinventing that phrase, as Canham on the right side puts it down. 9-4 now, Golden Bears.
There is that transition of Alberta. It is just a seamless defensive effort with them, as we see the delivery off the hand of Max Elgert is so effortless and so in system that it really is breaking down this Calgary defense, and that results in Coach Rod Durant to take his first time out here.
Yeah, Durant trying to slow the momentum here a little bit of the Golden Bears. And just as we're chatting about Elgert, he is such a great player, really very smart player, somebody that coaching against him in club for years, seen him now going through, and now in his 5th season of eligibility. And he's somebody that I know has high hopes and would like to continue playing, work his way up through the ladder. He's been a youth national team guy, been a junior team national guy, and now would like to kind of take that next step and maybe get to that senior A level. And he's such an important part of this Alberta Golden Bears team. Right now, I think it's just the speed of Alberta's offense. It's not so much the physicality. Like I said, it's the speed, right? The speed. It's Calgary's having a hard time catching up to the attack of these Alberta players. So out of the timeout, Billy Johnstone will serve. Taken there by Sroyshka. Middle attack, and it's the block of the Golden Bears, shutting it down. Big time play there by Dynam.
Great read there from Alberta. And you come out of a timeout. Perhaps there hasn't been a lot of opportunity for Calgary to run the middle of the middle offense for them. So they finally get the pass. A little bit of predictability there, eaten up by the Alberta block. It is such a fine line as a setter, Jared, to figure out when do you run the middle? When is my time to establish it? You have to do it, but sometimes it can kind of fault you by being too predictable. I think that was a little bit of what happened there for Calgary.
Sroyshka again with the hand pass, back row, Hazelden, and a huge swing there by Hamish Hazelden. Big time connection out of the back row.
His number hasn't been called much yet in this match, but he is the offensive workhorse for Calgary, and we see exactly why that is with such a monstrous attack there. Thankfully, it looks like the Alberta Golden Bear is all right. No injury, not to be expected there. These guys are used to some fast-paced balls coming their way.
The setter, Sora, on the service line. Passed off the net by Kern. Quick find there to Dynam in the middle. Diving save by Sora. Goes back to the Alberta side. Elgert back to Canham. Kept alive. Elchuk bumps that outside to Hazelden. And Hazelden over top, but Elgert's there to keep it alive. Outside Kern just sets it over, but the Dinos block is on the net. And it's a point for Alberta.
That's a bit of a killer there for Calgary side, as finally they get Alberta kind of in this broken place situation. They get a nice tip over that's picked up, but unfortunately it's burnt by a net violation. So it's tough. You have to be aggressive at the net, but there's that fine line. You cannot be on the net at any point when making a play at the ball. So that is a violation. Point Alberta.
Elchuk's pass off the net, but Hazelden says no big deal, off the hands and down. And Adam, we were courtside before this match started, just watching the teams warm up, and he's a large man. There's no doubt about it. Hamish Hazelden is all of 6'8" and more, walking around out there. And we were commenting on the warm-up that he had. He just put himself through a full workout before he even touched a volleyball on the court.
Yeah, and it seems to be paying off. Great vertical leap, good physical attack, and more than anything, he looks calm out there. And this is a big stage, so that's not an easy thing to do, to have such a calm approach, as we see Alberta's Dynam putting away a ball in the middle. But again, it's easy to get wrapped up in these big moments, Jared. The winner of this guarantees themselves a medal, whether it's gold or silver, but you put yourself in that position. Everybody dreams of a national final, but this is step one. So they need to try and keep calm, and I'm really impressed with how Hazelden has been approaching this so far, considering he is the main point of this Dinos offense.
Cam Kern serve, passed off the net. Back to Hazelden on the right, dug up there by Canham. Elgert goes back to him out of the back row, and he finds the hands of Sroyshka and down. And it's another point for Alberta, 13-6.
Yeah, you see Sroyshka coming down from that block, and he's frustrated with himself. as a blocker, you never want to reach outside of your midline too much because you open yourself up off of the net and you really expose yourself. And that's what happened there on Siroshka. Sometimes you just need to trust your defense down the line and not reach.
Cam Kern serves, sails a little bit long, side out Dinos. 13-7 now is the score. And it will be number 11, the middle, Louis Kunzmann, who will serve. Mentioned from Bad Soden, Germany. Played the United Volleys in Frankfurt. His jump float, taken there by Kern. Elgert on the run, outside to Hslinga. Kept alive by Kupi. It's going to go right back to the Alberta side, but they're going to say it was out of bounds. Side out, Alberta.
Good attempt here. We'll get a great visual, clearly outside the aerial. Good call by the referees, and pretty obvious one there, as they've got Alberta now has Calgary doubled in this first set.
Yeah, we haven't seen Calgary quite find that gear they had yesterday against McMaster when they were so good, firing on all cylinders, but there's still lots of game left, working their way through as we see a kill there by Lincoln Baines.
And the passing has been kind of handcuffing the Dinos offense, Jared, but we see there a beautiful pass right into the pocket. They run their offense with the one-on-one block, and those are the results you need, but obviously it's the first contact that needs to be cleaned up. A lot of match ahead of them to do that.
Hamish brings the heat on that one, but Curry handles it. Hslinga is blocked there by Baines. But I think they're going to say that Baines maybe was on the net. Yeah, looks like a net violation. You see the net bouncing up and down there. Tried to sell it, but didn't quite get away with it. So it will be Alberta on the service line, and it will be the fifth-year setter, Max Elgert. Elgert taken there by Siroshka. They go back to him on the left, finds the hands, recycled and kept alive. Hazelden out of the back row, covered there by Elchuk, but it's going to be Jordan Canham who goes up off of 1 foot and just puts it down with authority, 15-8. Golden Bears, and we actually now are at the technical timeout with Alberta leading 16-8 in set number 1. Catch the championship final of the 2022 Cavendish Farms U Sports Women's Hockey Championship Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern on cbcsports.ca and TBA Sports. So Adam, it's been all Golden Bears so far early on in set number 1. What do you think has been the biggest difference between these two teams at this point?
For me, it's been the serve-receive game right now, Jared. I think Calgary has really struggled with their first contact on serve-receive. Not a lot of balls getting into the setter pocket. We've seen Sora really on the run, or in a lot of instances, they've had to audible away from the setter getting their second contact because the balls have been passed outside the court, so far off the net, all these different variables. Alberta, on the other hand, they've been very solid. We've seen Elgert be able to get as many opportunities going his way to facilitate the offense, and they've been able to find that gear offensively. We've commented on enough times, the tempo of their offense is clicking, but that all starts with the first contact on serve-receive, and I definitely think Alberta is winning that match, which is resulting in their big lead here in this first set.
Yeah, 16-8, a little bit unexpected. You know, we've assumed this would be a very closely contested match, but there is still a long ways to go, obviously. The first set isn't always necessarily an indicator of how the match will play out, but right now it is all Alberta as that attack goes out of bounds. 17-8, Golden Bears.
And again, not a bad pass from Calgary, but it does have Sora all the way outside the court to position 4. It really limits the options there. If you are going to pass a ball kind of off center, it needs to be in the court so you can at least have that right side option as well. It becomes one-dimensional and unfortunately results in an error.
And another tough serve from Elgert. We saw Lincoln Baines in the middle try to step in there and take that one, but just didn't have an angle on it. 10-point advantage, Alberta, 18-8.
Max Elgert, he did set the Canada West playoff record for aces in the playoffs, so that is not an unfamiliar situation for him to be in, putting teams in trouble from the serve. So that's an incredible feat for him to accomplish, and he's picking up right where he left off from the conference championships, now in the national championships.
Elgert unleashes on that one, but it goes into the net, and I think at this point, be a great time to mention, Adam, we didn't have a chance. We weren't aware, actually, at the time in our last match, but Brendan Warren was 1 block shy of a U Sport record. He had 9 stuff blocks in that last match against Toronto. So just wanted to get that out there, as we were told that in between matches. Quite impressive by the Manitoba middle blocker. But in this match here, it's 18-9 for Alberta. Stroishka's serve taken there, and it's Jordan Canham, my apologies, who puts that one down. 10-point lead restored.
And this is, again, all part of the pass. And look at the athleticism of Canham. He passes that ball nearly in position 6, but he works so hard to get all the way out to the pin, get a full approach, and terminates that ball because of it. Good hard work from him, earning his team the 19th point.
We did see a substitution checking in for Calgary as number 12, Jackson Meyer, into the match. And he will actually go back to serve. Meyer, the 6'7" second year from Calgary. His jump float taken by Curry. Middle attack, and it's John Stone. Great cutback shot.
Once again, that pass is in the pocket. Look at Curry contort his body here. That platform stays right in the direction of the setter. That is just textbook serve receive. Kids watching at home, take a note on Landon Curry there. That is how it's done.
One of the better liberos in the country for sure, Landon Curry. Showing on that one there, but a nice conversion on the outside. Number 14, Liam Coopy.
See, that is the set selection you look for as a setter, Jared. They haven't had the perfect passes come their way. They finally get one, but they set away from the middle. That opens up the one-on-one on the outside, and that is your highest percentage kill right there. Great selection from Sora.
Jacob Reed also has checked in now for the Dinos. Puts Alberta in trouble. Calgary's going to have a chance at one here, but actually just goes out of bounds. So a couple points in a row now for the Dinos.
This Dinos team is one that really gets fueled by some momentum, and they're able to build off of that. A team that stays very, very tight-knit regardless of the situation. So they can get dangerous if they get a little bit of momentum going their way, and this is a great start to that process for them.
Ball passed up by Kern, then he gets set back on the left, and he just sort of sneaks his way through that block and down. And we got, once again, 21-12. The Classic Rush album is the score. Alberta leading by 9. Elchuk did his best to chase that one down, but just too far away. Now Canham on the line. Big spin serve, goes out of bounds. Easy side out, Dinos. And we're gonna have another substitution checking in here. For the Dinos, it will be number 9, Eric Godwin. Godwin, the first year from Lethbridge. So Coach Durant, not afraid to make a couple substitutions here in this first set, getting everybody worked through. Out of the back row, Isaac Heslinga with the kill.
Great swing from Heslinga as we see him hanging in the air for this pipe. Maybe not the cleanest connection we've seen from the Alberta Golden Bears offense tonight, but it doesn't matter. The height and the physicality of Heslinga takes over in that situation. Great swing from him.
Cam Kern now with the serve. High ball transition to Hazelden, and he goes off the block and out of bounds. Side out, Dinos.
What a treat it must be to play with a player of his height and his strength, as well as he's able to climb this ladder. It's a tight set, but it's still manageable for him. He's almost peering down at the fingertips of the opposing block. That makes things really easy for an attacker.
Hazelden led the Dinos in kills per set this year with 4.12, which is a pretty solid clip in the Canada West Conference, absolutely. We're gonna have a back row block violation there on Reed, the setter. We saw him trying to get up there to play it, but really not much that he could do. 23-14 now for the Golden Bears. And we're gonna have a timeout by Coach Durant. His team trailing here in the opening set. 23-14. I always like seeing the dynamics in the 2 timeouts, right? A lot of times you can tell who's winning and who's losing. Alberta, it's pretty relaxed, right? It's everybody's looking pretty laid back, pretty chill here. Coach Daviduc just giving a couple instructions. The Calgary timeout a lot more animated, right? A lot more going on, a lot more changes to be made, but I think we know this is a long game. 23-14 doesn't mean too much. They come back and it could be the exact same thing the other way in the second set, but these two teams have played each other enough. I don't think Calgary's going to be too thrown off here by a bit of a slow start in this first set, but if you're Alberta, couldn't have asked for much more. So we'll be Graydon Wiebe, who will put the serve in play. Taken there by Elchuk. Reed back to Hazelden, and that is nice and high, just right over top in front of the defender. It's nice to have that outlet.
Absolutely, and I think he's been a little quieter than I had expected coming into this match, Jared. And I don't necessarily think that it has anything to do with his performance. I think it's just the volume has been a little more limited than I'd anticipated. So again, maybe that's credit to the passing. Maybe they're trying to keep him a little bit kind of, I don't want to say rested, but keep him a little bit under wraps, let's say, to start this match. And maybe they'll begin to go to him a little bit more when things get a little bit tighter, perhaps as this match progresses. So you know he's capable of handling this volume. I believe he led the Canada West playoff in kills, so he's clearly not any stranger to getting that kind of amount of sets going his way. So it's just surprising a little bit to me that his number hasn't been called more.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't think he's really made an attacking mistake yet at all. We just haven't set him as much as we probably anticipated. But he's going to get a chance here out of the back row, and he once again converts, finds the corner. Great, continues to swing quite well, like we said. It's just been, haven't said his name as much as we expected.
Yeah, that is a virtually undiggable ball there, Jared. That is over top of a 3-man block with just enough pace to be aggressive, but not travel out the back of the court. That tags essentially where the end line and sideline meet. Deadly shot.
So we still have a set point opportunity though for the Golden Bears. Billy Johnstone's attack is soft block kept alive, and then it's finished off by Isaac Haslinga. And with that, the Alberta Golden Bears take the opening set 25-16. You're watching U Sports Volleyball, brought to you by Macassa on CBC.
They don't.
To you by Mikasa, le ballon officiel de U-Sport, the official game ball of U-Sports.
Welcome back to the 2022 Men's U Sports National Volleyball Championship, presented by Macassa on cbcsports.ca. It was the Alberta Golden Bears who took the opening frame 25-16 and now lead this best-of-5 match 1-0. And Adam, Alberta was pretty darn impressive in that opening frame.
Certainly they were, and they were really flexing their muscles offensively throughout that entire set. Their passing was phenomenal, so it made life look really easy for the setter, Max Elgert, but his distribution was really, really tight. Everybody was contributing, and honestly, my shining star on the Golden Bears side for that set was Isaac Haslinga, the rookie. It really seemed like the volume that went his way ended in a termination more often than not, and that's very impressive considering that this Golden Bears team is littered with experience and high-level athletes, but it's the first year who maybe was quarterbacking that offense in a way that is just really, really dynamic and puts a lot of pressure on the Calgary side.
Yeah, absolutely. They looked quite impressive. So now lead 1-0, but I expect Calgary will bounce back here. We'll show some resolve. As I said, these two teams have played each other multiple times. I don't think one set, one way or the other, was really going to change too much in the dynamic of this game. But Elgert starts it off with the flush off the serve from Soroshka.
That is something we didn't see, not even once throughout the first set. So I really like that selection by Elgert. As we mentioned, his distribution was incredibly variable, and that's just one more wrinkle that now it's in the Dinos' heads. They think, okay, who's it going to? Is it going left? Is it going right? Is it going pipe? Oh, now they have another factor to worry about. Just complicates things even further for their opponent.
Graydon Weeb will serve on the run. That ball is kept alive there by the Golden Bears. Elgert, again, the exact same play, and Coach Daviduc gets out of his chair with excitement. As a former setter himself, I'm sure he loved that one. My guess is that might have been something that was talked about in between sets after that reaction from Coach Daviduc.
Yeah, you'd have to think, because again, we mentioned it, we didn't see it once, but there must have been a little bit of charting done, perhaps by the assistant coaches watching the block of the Dinos, maybe realizing that when he's in the front row, nobody's accounting for him. So we've seen now twice in a row that that's the case.
And a big time stuff block there by Billy Johnstone. 3-0 Golden Bears.
The bench of Alberta is loving it. Number 14, Owen Murray, he's trying to get the whole building going on that one. And I think if more plays like that happen, we might have some of those fence sitter fans that you mentioned, Jared, decide to go green.
Yeah, I think if you're a young local fan here and you're coming out just to watch, to support the championship, you know, you're going to basically just cheer for whoever's winning, right? And so plays like that after the first set for Alberta will help sway some of those fans, I think. But I expect a lot of game left here. I'm sure Calgary will battle back, but they're only down by a couple here in set number 2. 3-1, an early lead for Alberta. Goodsman serve, passed up, outside. Hislinga with the kill, 4-1.
That's a great swing from the rookie, as we see. Maybe not the tightest of passes that Alberta's had, still within the 3-meter line though, but just challenging the fingertips of that middle block from Calgary. Textbook left side swing.
Elgert now on the line. Clips off the tape, passed up by Srioshka. Teed up by Sora, and he actually comes back with a dump of his own. A little bit different variety than we saw from Elgert, but still just as effective.
Definitely, and that's how crucial it is to get the ball to the net for this Calgary offense. Maybe not a ball that Sora could have even set, it was so tight, but I think they would prefer that rather than him running around the backcourt, which we saw most of in the first set.
Adam, you've played a little bit of beach yourself, obviously. Tom Sora, an excellent beach player as well. What do you think that does for him as a setter, just having that all-around game to be able to play in the sand as well?
I mean, the foot speed is the first thing that comes to mind, Jared. He's able to get to just about every ball, regardless of where it is on the floor. Secondary to that is just his reading capability, whether he's tracking the block and defense on the other side, or he's reading as a defender on his side. There's so many transferables from the beach to the indoor game, and he does a fantastic job of making those plays look a lot easier indoors.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I just always thought myself, beach was a little bit too hard for me, so I don't got too much experience in the sand. I like just sitting back and enjoying the sun would be my preference, but we saw a service ace there for Hislinga, then he comes back with another one, 2 in a row. 7-2 now is the advantage for the Golden Bears, and they're picking up right where they left off in set number 1. I think we're actually going to see a timeout here by Coach Durant with his team getting off to a slow start in this second.
Jared, now this is, we've talked about him already, but it seems like the Isaac Hislinga show a little bit right now. Tell us a little bit about him, or what you might know about him and in his upbringing through the club system, and how kind of unique it is that an Ontario player has now chosen that the Alberta Golden Bears is where he's going to play his volleyball.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Hislinga played for Aurora Storm. He's from Orangeville, Ontario, and you know, if you look at this roster, you know, it's a very diverse roster, the Alberta roster. I think they've always done a great job of recruiting really from coast to coast, and I mean, there's examples of that. You know, you have your handful of Alberta players, like you'd expect. I mean, Braden Friesen, we haven't even mentioned at this point. He's one of the top players on this Alberta team from Saskatchewan, unable to play with the injury. But we've got, New Brunswick, Julian Phillips, a player that I know from this time this summer. You've got, obviously, New Zealand, Ontario. I mean, it's quite interesting to see that coast to coast being represented, and you know, that's what top programs do. You know, you find players. You talked about last night. You put that fence around your backyard. You make sure the Edmonton players don't leave. And then you do what you can to bring in other top players from across the country. And Heslinga had a fantastic club career playing with the Aurora Storm and now playing with the Alberta Golden Bears. The future looks very bright for him as he's a big body who's capable of doing a lot of things. And Canham, another player who not from the province of Alberta, played with the Ottawa Mavericks club in Ottawa and actually the hometown of Avonmore, Ontario. Played with the junior national team as well, and he's developed in his own right. And this is an Alberta team that you look at the eligibility, Elgert obviously being a fifth year, he's the only fifth year on the team, and Cam Kern only in his second season, now playing left side, but you've got to imagine he'll step into that setting role quite smoothly next year, and they look like they're going to be a team who will be very difficult for everyone else to handle, but they're not worried about the future right now. They're worried about this current match, and they're up 8-4 as we see Calgary get the side out.
It was another big swing from Hazelden to do it, and you got to just start asking the question, how long is it going to be until Calgary decides to throw just about everything to Hazelden until he's slowed down by the Alberta side?
Pass there by Kern. Elgert, great job getting it back to Canham, and just everything Alberta is doing is working right now. Their offense just clicking in this second set.
You can't ask for much more from a serve-receive side of things. I mean, Alberta is consistently passing the ball right on the money, and it makes things so easy for their offense. And when you have a setter like Elgert, he is just salivating at these opportunities.
Sora to the middle, Kunzman with the kill.
And in saying that, that was our key in between the first and second set, Jared, is Calgary needed to clean up their serve receive, and they've done a fairly good job of it so far, and that's what has bridged this gap a little bit for them in this second set. Not the perfect pass, but inside the 3-meter line allows them to run the middle, opening up their attack.
Every coach that I've talked to across the country and kind of trying to get some feedback as we see the kill there by Dynam, but in assessing these two teams, almost everybody I talked to said Calgary has two really good middles, and they have obviously a great opposite in Hazelden. And we just haven't seen a lot of that yet because the service receive hasn't been there. They haven't been able to establish that middle. When they've been able to call their names, they've been effective. But yeah, they just haven't been able to find that groove so far offensively. We'll see if they're able to pick it up here. Down 10-5 in the second set. Kern serve there, taken by Godin. Good ball outside to Siroishka, and that's a great example of not having to run the middle necessarily, but the ability to run it to set everything else up in your offense.
Absolutely, and Parker Siroishka, he's a player with a lot of experience himself. He's been a starter for this Dinos program for a number of years now, and this may be his first time on the big national stage, but he's not shying away. He's making the most of his opportunities thus far, and that's important for them to have a little bit more of the 1-2 punch going on the outside.
Great run there to Kunzman, and doesn't even have to put too much on it, just catching the block and defense in a bad position, tips it over and down. Another point there for the Dinos.
Look at the hard work from Kunzman in transition there, Jared. He knows after blocking the left side, he's not going to get around and be available for the 50 or the 31 run. He just sticks in the 60 lane, and he's found for the kill. Great audible by the middle there.
Nice save by Hazelden. And then that attack, called long. Certainly looked like it caught the end line, but just out of bounds. That was a very close play there by the Dinos, as Godwin tried to kind of keep them catch them napping a little bit, but just out of bounds. It is Jacob Dynam who will now serve. Dynam serve, passed off the net there by Elchuk. Hazelden just has to set it over just to keep it alive. But not a great pass, but Johnstone, you could just see all that play, just kind of everything just wasn't quite set up after that first pass from Johnstone. They couldn't quite recover.
I really don't mind the selection to try and give the middle the ball when they pass, but you had to notice he didn't have much of an approach. The 61 clearly not his bread and butter, so maybe just a little jammed up there.
Back row attack, Canham off the arms of Kunzman and out of bounds.
Canham has been pretty automatic for Alberta so far here, Jared. I know we've been giving a lot of love to Heslinga, but right now it seems like he's quieted. They're maybe keeping his arm on ice for a little bit and changing over some of that volume to Canham, and he has picked it up right where Heslinga handed it off to him.
Yeah, it's such a funny sport, obviously. Once you establish something, their team starts trying to take it away, then you go to the next guy, and you just keep working your way through those progressions, and can make things very difficult for the opposing defense, as we see Godwin with a great cross-court shot.
That is a gorgeous shoulder on Godwin there. He just drops his thumb all the way for this shot and carves up that cross-court shot. Great shot from Godwin, and again, that's a player, if he can get going a little bit for Calgary, now we're starting to see a little bit of a triple threat on the outside.
Sora, the setter, back to serve, taken there by Curry. Nice job by Elgert to go up and get it, but Canham is just on a different level here. He puts that one down with authority.
Calm, cool, collected right now. I don't even know if I've seen this young man smile yet, Jared, yet he's probably got a dozen kills already.
Yeah, measuring in at 6'5", 230, so, you know, he's giving up a few inches on the outside to Hazelden, you know, is 6'8", just the different profiles, but I mean, 230 pounds. He's a big, strong guy, obviously jumps well, hits the ball very hard, and, you know, just really having himself a great match here tonight. But Calgary answering back here after that early timeout. They've managed to kind of keep themselves in this second set. They're trailing by 3, 13-10. Nice pass there by Curry, and then Billy Johnstone. How you doing?
The energy from Landon Curry. I mean, he really has one job in this situation. It is pass the ball, and he's doing a really good job of it. And look at the fist pump, the spinorama. That is the energy that a libero can bring to the floor, an intangible that just is a really big difference maker for good teams.
Sora goes 60 there to his middle, Baines, and he rewards him with the kill.
This game has been back and forth, Jared, and kudos goes to the Dinos serve receivers. They have cleaned everything up that was struggling for them in the first set. Perhaps a little bit of semifinal jitters. You can't blame them there, but that seems to have been settled quite nicely now because they're passing the ball well and their offense has been clicking. It's been back and forth since that timeout you mentioned by the Calgary side.
And it's Jackson Meyer who once again coming off the bench to serve. His ball passed there by Curry. Elgert saves it. Hislinga on the pipe, finds the sideline. Side out, Golden Bears.
Miraculous set there from the Alberta side. Let's have another look as Elgert is strung up against the net, but he somehow manages to stay clean and still put the ball in a hittable location for his left side attacker. Gorgeous play.
So we're 1 point away from the technical timeout. Canham serve goes into the net, 15-12. But I think if you're Calgary and you're Coach Durant, I think you're comfortable with where this second set is going in these last few points.
Absolutely, and we're seeing a few more service errors from Alberta's side now, and I think that's a little bit of that receive pressure now that Calgary is putting on, and I think that works into their favor. It's an interesting dynamic. We'll continue to see how that prevails as the match continues.
Hazelden gets the one pass off that serve, and Calgary's going to have a swing at it, and it's converted. Big kill there by Kunzman.
Kunzman does not get greedy with this attack, and middles take note. That is a swing that is virtually undiggable. Look at Landon Curry doing great things. He's in the position you want him. He's ready to defend. They're funneling to him, but it's too high and too deep into the court on that quick attack. Great swing from him.
Let's see if Hazelden can once again, and he does the exact same thing, gets the ball over, and then it's Hazelden who's going to swing out of the back row, and he just misses wide. We think that might be his first error of this match.
Unfortunate time to take it as it looked like Calgary was rolling a little bit and just starting to build some momentum. Unfortunately, it's ended in an error, but it does take us into the second set technical. Calgary looking a lot better in this set than they did in the first technical timeout. Anybody's game here in this second.
The best in men's basketball action takes to the hardwood next weekend in the U Sports Men's Basketball Final 8 presented by the Westin Edmonton. With upsets abound in the conference playoffs, who will capture the WP McGee Trophy? Find out next weekend. The U Sports Final 8 Men's Basketball Championship on cbcsports.ca and CBC Gem. So with the Golden Bears leading 16-13, we were just referring to our, I guess we'll call him the sideline correspondent. We have our man down on the on-court side, Ted Glass, who is running all the social media this weekend for the championship, and he's able to, you know, see some things in the timeouts and see the court, and he says he's just been so amazed with the bench from Alberta. They're just super loose, having a ton of fun, and we're seeing the team on the court playing that same way.
It really is a team game, Jared. I know volleyball can be a really crude sport in that way where you kind of find your 7 players who tend to lock in the positions, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 points played here by a bench player for a serving sub or a blocking sub. But if that bench can be as engaged and as energetic as they can be, it just fuels the guys who do play on the court.
Cam Kern, the bench will like that one. Service ace after the timeout. 17-13, 4-point lead now for the Golden Bears. Kern, I mean, what more can you say about a guy who is playing out of position? You know, he's a setter by trade, but sometimes I like saying this to our guys too. Just be a good volleyball player. Don't think of yourself so much as one position or another. You never know when your number will get called, and this is a prime example of that. We say that in club. Now here we are in the national semi-final for U Sport men's volleyball, and you have a setter playing left side, and not only playing but thriving, having himself a match as he gets another ace, as it was Sora and Hazelden both chasing it down, and then some miscommunication. The ball actually falls to the floor. 5-point lead now for the Golden Bears. Kern once again passed up there by Siroshka. Nice pass. Sora back row, Hazelden, and Hazelden makes up for that previous mistake, gets right back on the good side of things on the stat sheet. And I think you brought this up about 10 or 15 points ago. At some point, you got to wonder if you're Calgary, if you start just feeding the beast.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what he's out there to do, right? He is the physical threat that the Dinos offer. It's great to spread the offense. It's great to open him up. But at what point do you need to say our best player needs to have the ball in his hand at almost every opportunity?
Quick set there to the middle, and Dynam gets the kill as Calgary gets a piece at the net, but isn't able to come up with it in the back row. 19-14 now Alberta. We're going to see a substitution here, I believe. And Graydon Wiebe will check back in for the Bears. And, you know, this is an interesting decision by Coach Davidoff. He is starting Wiebe. Wiebe will serve. Then he'll bring in Dynam in the front row. Let Dynam serve once across the back. Then when he works his way to the back row again the next time, he'll go back to Wiebe. And then I guess if it goes to extra points and he has to do it again, they'll just leave Wiebe out there because he can't put Dynam back into the match, right? And the only thing about that is it could put themselves in interesting situations where if the match goes with a lot of side out, right, where the game rotates through quite a bit and nobody goes on long stretches of points, if the game goes to extra points, you end up a situation where Wiebe might be in the front row. And obviously he's very capable. I mean, he's a 6'6" player. He's a middle player, but just I'd love to know the strategy from Coach Davidoff, just to know what has gone into that, if that's something they've always done or it's something they've just done recently. But, you know, using the best of your abilities to the players you have on your team to make up for all the shortcomings of everybody else.
Yeah, you have to credit Coach Brock Davidoff for that kind of brainchild where he's brought this into light and he's found what works for this Bears team. As you mentioned, sometimes you just have to work with the tools you have, and there is a full toolbox on the Alberta side, so why not find those little nuances that you can exploit, getting the most out of each and every player. So clearly 3 very capable middles. He's finding roles for all of them. Impressive strategy brought forth by the Alberta coach.
So it will be Wiebe who will serve. Pass there by Siroshka, outside to Godwin, dug up by Canham. High ball outside, Hislinga sets it over, taken there by Godwin. Sora, back set, finds Kunzman, and another great connection. And we've seen that now a few times where he is not afraid to run Kunzman on that 60 run when he's completely blind.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of setter relationship here. It's a great distribution. Look at that ball, Jared. That is right where he needs it to put it away, and he's done it time and time again. I really like how Kunzman is stepping up here. We'll see what he can do from the service line.
Taken there by Hislinga. Elgert, middle, Johnstone, covered by Canham. Curry, high ball outside. It's actually going to go over to the Calgary side, and Sora just wipes it off the block and down. A nice athletic play there by the setter, Tom Sora.
What a size difference we had there as Tom Sora, he's the one putting that ball away. He's listed at 6'3". I'm not 100% sure if that's 100% accurate, but nonetheless, he still is outsized by Hislinga, who's standing at 6'7", but he takes the cake on that one.
Ball passed off the net and then blocked, actually. It rattles all along the tape and finds the sideline, and Calgary is working their way back into this match. And we're going to have a timeout by Coach Davidoff as we see a nice replay here. It's Baines who coming across, gets enough, and Godwin just makes sure he's wheeling it in to find that sideline. It's now just a 3-point game here in set number 2.
That's the first little bit of hiccup we've seen for 2 points in a row from the Alberta serve receivers. Not a lot wrong with that pass in terms of location to the net, Jared, but we've talked about it on previous broadcasts. When that ball begins to slide over closer to position 4, it really limits your offense, because that set, as we saw there to the left side, just seemed a little bit too quick, a little bit too low, and it didn't allow Heslinga to challenge the block. He was forced to hit into it, and that is something that we've seen all match long. He hasn't had that issue at all. He's more than capable of challenging high over top of the block, but with a set result like that, kind of dictated by the serve receive, you're trapped.
Yeah, and it's all coming off of this serve here by the big middle, Kunzman. And it's passed tight. Baines flushes it down, but a great job by Canham to save it. And then Heslinga actually makes up for it, finds the block and squeezes it through down to the floor. 21-17.
Great scramble from the Golden Bears as that ball gets launched into the net on the dig, but it's somehow scooped off the net, not just to keep it alive, but to put it in a hittable location. Very talented play by them.
So the one thing I want to make mention of as well, we talked about the Weeb substitution, is Coach Davidoff also brings in Sam Drybrow, who is a former setter, now listed as libero, but basically playing a defensive specialist role here. He's bringing him in for Cam Kern, and just to kind of solidify that defensive and serve receive as we get into the late stages of this set. He did the same thing in set number 1 as well. Soros float serve there, taken by Drybrow. Back to Heslinga on the right, and Godwin gets him one-on-one, slams the door shut. 21-19.
Huge momentum play for the Dinos. There's nothing that can get a squad spark like a one-on-one block, and nothing fancy from Godwin. He just left himself inside with the inside set and took away that main part of the court. Big clamp for the Dinos, and just a 2-point deficit now for them.
Back to Heslinga again, and this time he goes over top and down into the back row. Not much the Calgary defense could do on that one.
Excellent fix by Heslinga. I mean, you see on the previous rally, he maybe got a bit greedy on the one-on-one, trying to bury that one into the floor. He really corrects himself on his next attempt, and that's why I always condone setters on going back to an option right after they got blocked. Let them fix that mistake. Let them build their confidence back up.
Serve there, taken by Elchuk. Outside, Hazelden, and talk about big-time stuff. Blocks, there's one. Jordan Canham shuts the door on Hamish.
I think the Alberta bench might have an aneurysm over there. They are losing it, and that is the kind of energy that you need to bring. And there's no better way to counteract a one-on-one for the opposition by going and getting your own one-on-one stuff block.
23-19, Alberta leading as they work towards this second set. Another slowdown there from Canham, but it's kept alive on Alberta. They go to the middle, some hang time there to keep it alive. Hazelden again on the left, dug up by Curry. Elgert in transition goes pipe to Heslinga and goes long. 23-20, Calgary trailing with Eric Godwin on the left side going back to serve.
Pipe is definitely a part of this Golden Bears offense, not something we've seen them do a lot, and I think that almost caught Heslinga off guard there, as his approach was a little bit wacky, didn't quite get a full 2-foot approach there, and that was the result of that floater out the back. We'll see if Calgary can take advantage of the kind of mental lapse in the Alberta offense.
Kern looks to tip it over, kept alive by the Calgary block, and it looks like it actually goes off the head of the Calgary blocker and into the stands, and we now have a set point opportunity for Alberta. That's 8 rows up, I think. Big time swing on that one. So 24-20, Alberta leading. And it will be number 14, Owen Murray, who will try to serve his team to a 2-set-to-none advantage if they convert on this one here. Ball passed out the net by Elchuk. Sora on the run. Outside, Soroshka. Dug up by Heslinga. Outside swing, Kern. And Kern looking for the hands, but doesn't find them. Calgary fights off 1 set point. See the replay here. Kern looking for a piece of the block. Doesn't quite find it.
No, he didn't miss by much, but a clear error from him. Square out the back. It's going going to be Lincoln Baines. We'll see if he can be the one to run this one all the way back. It's going to take a lot more than just a serve. They're going to need to step up in every aspect here if they want to close this gap in the second.
24-21. Lincoln Baines on the service line. Float serve taken by Kern. They go back to him on the left. Finds the hands. Dug up, kept alive. Outside. And that goes off the block and out of bounds. And we see, interesting here, Calgary has switched up their block. They have Hazelden blocking on the left, presumably to take away Canham, which leaves Soroishka out there on the right. And in transition, they find him and he converts.
Great choice from the Dinos, in my opinion. I think you need to match up the main hitter with the biggest blocker at this point in the set. Maybe not something sustainable for the entire set, but when it's kind of Hail Mary mode, you got to do what you got to do.
Now, all that matters is this 1 point right here. So they're going to get the matchup they wanted, and they convert as it's Hazelden and Kutzman teaming up for the block. And it's now just a 1 point lead for Alberta, 24-23.
This is why, folks, these are two of the top 4 teams in the country. It's the little identification pieces like that that allows them to make just such a simple adjustment, but in such a crucial time, and clearly rewarded for such an adjustment.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We mentioned this last match for those who were watching. It wasn't even Hazelden who got the block, but Canham, knowing he's out there, maybe changes the shots he would have hit against Soroishka, and then it's a late charging, late pressing middle, and Kutzman who gets the block, and we're now just at a 1 point game, 24-23.
What a beautiful game volleyball is, Jared. I mean, the strategy that's involved, the physicality that's involved, the skill that it takes to execute the skills that these players make every single rally. It really is an all-encompassing game, and we have a great one on tap at this semifinal. And right now, as you mentioned, 24-23.
So it's still a set point opportunity for Alberta. None of these last few points will matter to Calgary unless they can convert this one here. Let's see what they can do out of the timeout. Baines' serve, passed off the net by Kern. They go back to Canham again, and Canham converts, and that'll do it. Alberta gets the touch off the attack, and they take set number 2, 25-23, and now lead 2-0 in this best-of-5 match in the semifinal. You're watching U Sports Volleyball, brought to you by Macassa on CBC.
Brought to you by Mikasa, le ballon officiel de U-Sport, the official game ball of U-Sports. Western University, le lauréat du prix Fox 40 en tant qu'entraîneur de l'année en volleyball masculin et the winner of the Fox 40 U-Sports Men's Volleyball Coach of the Year is Ben Josephson, Trinity Western University.
Welcome back inside the Investors Group Athletic Center as we just see the last of the serving challenge here on the court. And what a great opportunity for all these local fans to see such high-level volleyball. And I know that they're expecting huge crowds tomorrow for all the medal matches. And I think with Manitoba playing in that 5th place game, I think they're hoping that some local fans will come out and then just stay the day as they work their way through. And it's Alberta and Calgary who are battling to be in that final tomorrow at 4 o'clock local time. Bronze medal game, I believe, is slated for 1, and the 5th place game will be at 11. So those are all central times, and right now it is Alberta who looks good. Obviously up 2-0 after taking that second set in a close one as Calgary battled all the way back, but still a long ways to go. You certainly can't let up at any point yet, as Calgary has a lot of fight still left in them.
They certainly do, Jared, and they cleaned up a lot of aspects of their game. I thought their serve receive was night and day from that first set. I thought their block stepped up in a big way, kind of in the latter portion of that second set. So if they can continue to build, continue to find some comfort in this match against Alberta, a familiar foe of theirs, anything is possible here as this match progresses. On the flip side, I think Alberta seems comfortable. Their offense is clicking. If they can continue to maintain that high level of execution, they're going to put a lot of pressure on the Calgary side.
So this will be Cam Kern starting off set number 3. His Golden Bears lead 2-0, but that ball goes into the net. And the first point of the third goes to Calgary. Got to get it to them. There's still lots of energy. They're still working their way through this. And I expect the type of team that they are, they're going to leave everything out here in this third set. And I do expect a healthy dose of both Middles and Hazelden as we work our way through into this third. Nice pass there, quickly outside, dug up by Hazelden. Kunzman goes high ball outside to Godwin, dug up there by Canham. Elgert, bump set, can go back to Canham, and he's dug up there by Srochka. Bump set all the way across the court to Hazelden. Got a good rally here early on in set number 3. Hazelden diving save. It's a big man hitting the ground there. He covers a lot of territory. But it's finished off with the block. Godwin teaming up with Baines. 2-0 Dinos.
Great extended rally from both sides, and it was Canham a number of times, and we see there Max Elgert, such an experienced player. He takes a look over his shoulder. He sees Godwin fronting him, knowing that he's got an open lane, but it almost seemed like a bit of a bait and catch done by Godwin there, because it was him and Baines all over that C-ball.
You see Elgert with that same sort of flush style dump, but this time the Dinos were ready for it. Play continues. Godwin dug up there by Curry. High ball set outside to Canham out of the back row. Play continues. Outside, Godwin finds the hands. Canham, another dig. You see if the Dinos can take advantage of this free ball here. Sora fakes the dump, goes outside to Godwin, and Godwin paints the sideline with the cross-court shot. Kind of almost looks like he maybe mishit it a little bit, but he finds the sideline. Point Calgary.
Yeah, it looks like he wanted that shot. I don't necessarily know if the pace or the sharpness is what he was intending to do, but nonetheless, a kill is a kill, and a 3-point lead is huge for the Dinos. They haven't had much separation like that yet in this match at all.
And then it's the Dinos teaming up for a block. 4-0 now, Calgary, and this will certainly help keep them in this match as they work to pull off the big comeback.
I don't think Calgary showed any nerves per se to start this match, but they have a certain sense of confidence right now as we see Hazelden celebrating that point big. Godwin's getting involved emotionally, and that is a huge, huge hurt to the Alberta side, taking this out of rotation penalty. That's going to be a point going directly to the Dinos side, and a timeout from the Alberta coach, Davida, as they seem a little out of sorts here to start the third.
Yeah, this is the first time we've really seen Alberta back on their heels. I mean, obviously at the end of the second set, Calgary was working their way back in it, but Alberta was never really threatened as they were always in control. This is a different story here now, though, and with how close these two teams are, I mean, spotting somebody a 5-0 advantage, there's still time for Alberta to come back, but you can't let it get any bigger, and that's why Coach Davidic is calling this timeout right here, right now, saying, okay, we're up 2-0. Okay, we're one set away from going to the national championship. We should all be excited about that, but we are far, far away from being over, and this set is also a long ways from being done. So let's change it here right now. And, you know, I always kind of look at it this way. It's like, hey, would you rather win this set, okay, work really hard and get these 25 points, okay, and win 25-18, or do you want to try to do it again next set? Like, let's just do it here right now. Let's not wait any longer. And I love the early timeout. No use saving them. If you don't like what you see, just change it up right away. Elgert goes to the middle, and Wiebe puts it down. But I think it looks like Wiebe might have been on the net, I believe is the call. Yes, he was. We see in the replay there, just clipped the top of the tape. So a good swing, but a little bit too aggressive, and it's now 6-0 Calgary. Kern with the pass, outside, Hislinga. Slowed down by the Dinos, but it's a little bit too tight. But Sora, so athletic, goes up there to get it, finds the end line. 7-0 now for Calgary.
Impressive leaping ability of Sora there to compete with the big dogs on the Alberta side there. And he just is able to flick that one into the back court. Huge point for Calgary as they continue to roll.
Cam Kern's pass off the net. Canham looks for the corner, misses. 8-0 now, Dinos. So at what point does this spread get big enough where after the point I just made about, hey, you got to outscore these guys and let's win this set, I'm not saying you don't ever give up, but I think you'll see that a lot in tennis. Right? When somebody's down a break in tennis, and say they're in a good position in the match, a lot of times they're kind of like, well, I'm going to go hard on my serve. I'll serve as hard as I can, but I'm not going to put too much energy when you're serving. I'm not really going to waste it because I got to go to the next one. You'll be curious here if things really get off the rails, if Coach Davidic makes any substitutions to rest some of these guys. But we do see a side out for Alberta.
Yeah, that's the right time for Alberta. I mean, 8 points is enough, and finally you go back to kind of who's been old reliable here throughout the beginning of this match, which was Isaac Haslinga. So I agree with you, Jared. Perhaps there may be some substitutions in the future. I wouldn't think that Davidic is thinking about it yet, as it is still rather fresh in this third set. But I mean, yeah, that's definitely got to be on his mind. As a high-level coach, you need to keep those factors in mind.
Hazelden out of the back row, finds the hands and down. Side out Calgary, 9-1 now is the advantage. Yeah, it's an interesting spot to be in. I think for those who tuned in last night to the games we were doing, we kind of talked about it a little bit in both matches of, do you take somebody off, give them a bit of a breather, hope they can find their rhythm again, or do you want them to kind of almost just stay out there? You don't want to kind of break anything up and they come back out and they're not feeling what is good. And I think as a coach, you know your players the most, right? So you know what kind of player each individual is. Would that benefit them? Would it actually be harmful if you did that? But like you said, at this point, 9-2, you're certainly not throwing in the towel yet. You get a couple here, a couple there. Next thing you know, maybe you're tied by 20. But something to keep an eye on as we work our way through this third set. And that'll certainly help as Elgert's serve was going long, but kept alive. Sjorska's pass went backwards. Elchik was there with the save, but that really was Calgary back on their heels. That whole point right from the beginning, and it's Haslinga who finishes it off on the left side.
Beautiful overload set by the Bears. As what I mean by that is the middle comes in, runs a bit of a slide in the middle, and that ball just out of the reach of the middle ends up in the hand of the left side, and the Calgary block is just too much responsibility for them there. A great kill.
So that serve goes into the net, and yeah, I think that's something that really two fundamentals of running offense, right? Are you going to put a spread pressure on the blockers by moving somebody around to then open up a lane, or are you going to put pressure on them by overloading, like you mentioned, where we're going to put more than enough hitters into one zone? We're going to make a decision, and that's exactly what happened on that run there. So for young setters who may be watching, something to really think about is the matchups. It's not just the ability to set a good ball, it's the matchups, right? What are you making the other blockers on the other side of the net thinking about when you want to run to your players? 11-3 now Calgary after that hitting error. And it is Godwin on the service line from Lethbridge, Alberta. Curry diving pass to keep it alive, goes to the Calgary side again, too tight, but Sora goes up to save it, and then it's Hazelden who rewards him with the big kill. 12-3 Dinos.
I'll be honest with you, there's been a little bit of shaky free ball passing from the Dinos side, but Tom Sora has been the savior so far as he's been able to get up and contact that ball before it crosses the plane. So a legal play on their side, and not just saving it, but distributing it in a location for his attackers to get a kill. That's not easy, folks, and I'm sure you're along the ride with us. It doesn't look easy either, but he is doing a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, Sora, we alluded to the beach stuff earlier in the match about how he has some experience on both indoor and outdoor, and you're seeing he's just a fantastic athlete. I think that's what it all boils down to. He's bailed his team out on a couple of those. If you have a setter who's not quite as explosive, and some of those are going to be coming right back at you on some of those passes. But at the end of the day, all that really matters is, do I have the ability to get my hands on it? If I get my hands on it, can I find a hitter? And it was Hazelden who rewards him on that one. And it's now a 9-point lead. Coach Davidic has called both of his timeouts here already in set number 3. And he's going to need to see a response pretty soon from his Golden Bears, or they're going to be heading to a 4th set. Another tough serve handled by Curry. And another big-time block by the Dinos. It's Baines who goes up and slams the door. 13-3.
I don't think any of us saw this coming here in this third set. Such an impressive response from the Dinos. The pressure has been all on the one side of the court. The Golden Bears just really don't have an answer for it, and we'll see if they can kind of develop any momentum here throughout this third set, as it's kind of slipping away from them rapidly.
You know, it's funny, we see in the corner of the shot there when Godwin was serving that Trinity Western has kind of made their way out to the court side, right? And their second semifinal, they're taking on Sherbrooke at 8 p.m. So about 45 minutes from now, if this match wraps 3-0 with Alberta up 2-0, they're going to start their game on time, get a full warm-up. But if it doesn't, if it goes to an extra set, which certainly now at 14-4, it looks like it will, that pushes back their timeline too, right? And it's so interesting when you're in that second game. I mean, these two teams, we chatted before off air about how Alberta and Calgary, they knew exactly when their game was starting. There was a big gap in between. They were down on the court. They could really go through a full warm-up. The next two teams, Trinity and Sherbrooke, you're kind of left waiting to see what's going to happen in this game. And, you kind of mentally, you have your meeting, as we see a big kill there by Johnstone. But you have your meeting, right? You want to go on the court. You're kind of planning, when are you getting into that match? And that doesn't happen in a lot of other sports, right? It's not very common. You kind of have a general idea of how long a match is going to go. If you're playing in a basketball tournament, some games might be a little bit faster, some games might be a little bit longer, but you kind of generally know when your game's going to be. In volleyball, you could be ready, and all of a sudden it looks, now we're going to a 4th set. Now we're going to a 5th set. And, it just takes me back to my years where if you played after the women's match, it always seemed like somebody would be up 2-0, and then no matter what, it would always go to 5, and you'd warm up 2 or 3 times, and you'd be meeting and meeting and meeting. But if you didn't do that, you weren't prepared, right? You kind of had to do it each time. And I think tennis is another sport that's like that, right? Everything, the schedule, you watch some of these, the big Grand Slam tournaments, and you expect the guy's going to play at a certain time, and you don't play for 2-3 hours later. It must be very difficult on the athletes and the coaches actually to go through those scenarios. But right now, Calgary and Alberta, they don't care too much about that. Calgary is more than happy to put this tournament behind as they get a big-time kill there again out of the middle, and they now lead 16-5 here in this 3rd set, and they want to make this match go as long as possible. And right now, everything looks just fantastic for the Dinos. Canada's top women's basketball players head to Kingston, Ontario for the U Sports Final 8 Championship. Can the Saskatchewan Huskies defend their title, or will there be a new champion? Find out next weekend. The U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBCSports.ca and CBC Gem. So, Adam, 16-5 is the advantage here for the Dinos. I think pretty safe to say we're heading to a 4th set, I think. But what's been the biggest difference? What are you seeing from Calgary here that's just made things so much more difficult for the Alberta Golden Bears?
It just seems like Alberta's first contact has really been failing them so far in this set. I mean, their service pressure hasn't quite been as effective as it was in the first 2 sets, and their serve receive has fallen off a little bit. They definitely haven't been able to have Elgert run such a tempo offense, and that's allowing the size of Calgary to be a little bit more of a factor on their block. And I think it's just really jamming up what Alberta can do as we see another overbump here from the Golden Bears. And this rally is again finished by a free ball in transition opportunity by Calgary. So right now, Alberta is kind of in the boat that Calgary was in the first set, struggling with their first contact and really making the game a lot more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, and this Calgary team, I get the vibe that they are a very emotional team, right? And a very kind of vocal and loud and excited team. And I kind of get the sense that if you let the car warm up, it might start driving real fast. It's kind of one of those things. If you let them get in gear, it might just take off. And right now, obviously, everything is just going so well for them. They lead 17-5. I mean 17-5, and that's not something you see very often in a national championship. And it comes on the heels of Alberta playing 2 fantastic sets, and just shows you how quickly things can turn around as Canham gets the kill. And they're going to do everything they can to kind of work their way back into this, and not necessarily to win the 3rd set, but just to try to steal a little bit of energy back onto their side as we head into the 4th.
And that's a great response from Alberta serve-receive-wise. It's not a perfect pass, but it's high into the middle of the court. It allows Elgert to run an option to the pin in a location they need, and these are such skilled outsides that Alberta has. They put that away no problem, but Calgary responds with a dime pass of their own, and they run the backcourt. Gorgeous run from Calgary.
Yeah, Eric Godwin, big-time kill, and he didn't start this match. It's interesting, we were watching the kind of serve receive before the game, and it looks like Coach Durant was kind of maybe going back and forth a little bit of what he wanted to do, and it was Koopy who started, and then Godwin came in off the bench, and that's something they'll kind of rotate through. I think Soroshka is usually the consistent, he's the normal starter, and then the other two will kind of be battling a little bit. And Godwin has definitely brought some energy to this lineup, and they lead 18-6. Looks like we're heading to a potential fourth set here. And then from there, I mean, the fourth set is always an interesting one, right? Does the match end, or does it go to 5 where things get real interesting? But Alberta will do what they can to keep it going through. That'll certainly help as that ball's hit long. What's the biggest comeback you've ever seen? I mean, it might be putting you on the spot, but can you think of anything? Does anything jump out at you as kind of a real crazy, massive comeback at the university level?
That's a tough question, Jared. You know, I really can't think of anything on the spot right now that jumps out to me, at least at the university level. Come back to me on that one. I'll hum and haw on that one.
Okay, sounds good. And I mean, just to put it in perspective, as you see a big kill there by Godwin, I mean, now, if we'll just go from where it is here, if you are going to win this match, right, if you are Alberta, you got to win 17-4 from here on out, right? Obviously, you could go 18-5 or 19-6 if it goes to extra points, but if you're thinking of winning 25, that's the best case scenario, right? If you do it that way, and it's like, you look at it that way, man, that's pretty tough, right? But on that same side, it's kind of like as big as the lead as this is, right? And you look at it 19-8, that comeback would be even bigger than that, and you know, it makes it so difficult as that is a ball handling violation there, so it's a side out to the Golden Bears. But we do have a couple substitutions there. Looks like Bryce Newells has checked in for the Golden Bears, so you know, maybe just mixing things up a little bit, giving a bit of rest potentially to Kern, and just trying to get things back flowing on their way. But I can't wait to see how this match is going to continue. Now it's just totally up in the air where things will go. You know, and I think we've been around volleyball long enough to know that as much as there is momentum and things can happen, this next set, if Calgary hangs on to win here, which it looks like now at 20-9 they will do, Alberta could come out and just be right back in the same groove they were in the first 2 sets, and you're just saying, it was just a little bit of a blip, right? And same thing, sometimes you see a team down 2-0 and there's a huge comeback, they force it to a 5th set, and then they just kind of fall flat and they lose the 5th. Like, I've always wanted there to be a study kind of commissioned of all the different scenarios of where things could be, and I know, and speaking with Mark Dodds, as we see a service ace there, Mark Dodds, the head coach of University of Saskatchewan, a couple of years ago, he had told me there actually was one done in the Pro League in Germany, and there was all these different stats, and it was just incredible the ways teams got to win games based on how the first couple sets had gone. And you know, I think real veteran teams like this, Alberta, they won't be too phased by this. I don't think you can kind of reset after this one and come back out and be ready to go. But right now, it's just Calgary who is full steam ahead, up 22-9.
Yeah, and there's been a couple fortunate bounces for the Dinos side on these last 2 points, a little bit of a net trickle on the serve and a couple aces, but again, I think it's more load management right now for Alberta. They know it's going to go 4. They know they have to come out and get back to the way they were playing the first 2 sets, like you were mentioning, Jared. So I just think that Alberta, yeah, they're probably okay kind of tossing in the towel here. It's pretty inevitable, so save the legs, save the arms, come back, regroup. Maybe if you can build a little bit of momentum for the 4th set, but it doesn't appear like that's priority number 1 as we see ace number 3 in a row for Tom Sora. I think they're essentially just saying, let's switch sides, let's get the 4th going, let's reset at 0-0.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe assumption at this point. This one is basically over, which means more volleyball. You know, can't go wrong with that. We're going to get some more, and I fully expect both teams to play their best set of the night in this next 4th one, as Alberta will definitely not want it to go to 5. They know what that situation will lead to, and then Calgary will be pushing to get it to 5. And I think that recipe combined will make for what will be the best set of the evening. As Alberta does get a side out there, they still trail though 23-10, and is the setter Elgert on the line. Elgert's serve goes long, and maybe mercifully, maybe they're just ready for this 3rd set to be done.
Yeah, definitely not his most aggressive serve, definitely not his most intentional contact on the ball, and like we said, it just seems like it's time to move on, go to that 4th set, but it's going to be in the hand of Godwin to make that happen for the Dinos side.
So Godwin, who did go on a big serving run earlier in this set, finishes off the 3rd with an ace, and with that, Calgary takes the 3rd, 25-10, but it is still Alberta who leads in this best-of-5 match, 2-1. We'll be back in a quick break. You're watching U Sports Volleyball, brought to you by Macassa on CBC.
Where exceptional student athletes are born. where records are broken, where great plays are made, where school colors ignite passion, where champions prevail, where tradition is celebrated. Ontario University Athletics.
Unbelievable! History has repeated itself!
Get the stories behind the glory.
Welcome back inside the Investors Group Athletics Center at the 2022 U Sport Men's Volleyball National Championship. I'm Jared Brown and joined again by Adam Dianc here. And Adam, that was really one-way traffic all the way through that third set. The Calgary Dinos just really took it to Alberta, and I think that's probably one of the biggest beatings Alberta's gotten all year, I would have to assume. It's such a strong team and just kind of completely came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it definitely did, and kind of those keys to what Calgary needed to do and kind of change the tides of this match, they did to perfection, really. Their serve receive was solid. Their service pressure was really the highlight for them there. They had Alberta on the run almost that entire set, and I think they capped off that set win with maybe 5 aces in the last 10 serve attempts. So they really did pour on the pressure. Now, how much of that was a bit of management by Alberta to just kind of, I don't want to use the term mailing it in, but perhaps they just kind of took it a little bit easier, knowing that the odds of them winning that third set were fairly low. So I expect that both of these sides, they're so experienced and they have such fantastic coaching that it's going to be a complete reset. We are probably going to see execution at a higher level than we've seen in any capacity in this match. So it should be pretty exciting to see what they can produce here in this fourth set, as Calgary's going to look to continue that momentum and Alberta is going to look to get back to the ways that they were playing in the first or second.
Yeah, I do expect this to be the best set to this point. I think the first set, Alberta was in control. Second set, Alberta really kind of in the lead most of the time, but Calgary played well. Not a bad set. The last one, though, Calgary right from the beginning just really left it all out there, and Alberta didn't have much of an answer. So now here we are. And I think if you're Alberta, you know you have another set still kind of in the bank, if you kind of think of it that way. But I don't think they want any part of a short set to 15 when they've done so many good things with the first 2 sets to get that 2-set advantage. And right out of the gates, it's Jordan Canham who gets the kill. And the first point of the fourth goes to Alberta. So going back to serve now for the Golden Bears is number 17, Isaac Haslinga. So Coach Davidic changing up the matchups. That's interesting, right? We talked about how Graydon Weave, as you see a big block there by Johnstone, but Graydon Weave getting the start. A lot of times he'd be their first server, right? And now he's changed it up. It's Haslinga who's going to serve first. And that's just maybe trying to change up the matchups a little bit, both blocking and offensively. And we'll see if it works out as Alberta jumps out to an early 2-0 lead. Haslinga serve taken there by Elchuk. Sora goes middle on the 30 to Baines, kept alive, back to the Calgary side. Sora again and again to Baines, and this time he takes something off of it and falls down in front of Curry. And I want to make one mention of Ted Glass down on the court side for us. He had said that when Sora got taken out in that first set, he seemed to really kind of come back in the match with a new focus and a new energy, and has really been playing well. And I think it's evident the way his team has kind of rallied around there, but he's a really nice player in the setter position for the Calgary Dinos.
Absolutely, he is, as Alberta picks up a tip kill of their own there, but sometimes that's all you need, and this is by far the biggest stage that he has played in a national semifinal, so perhaps he just needed a bit of that reset, and I think that's more than fair, and all you can ask is for that quick reset to have a response from the athlete, and clearly, as you mentioned, that's what's happened for him. So that's all you need, is to just have that refocus, and off and running the Calgary Dinos have gone, and that service error from the Golden Bears will definitely help them, as it just is a small 1-point lead here for Alberta early in this fourth.
3-2 is the advantage for the Bears, but it is Calgary who will serve, and it is Eric Godwin who finished off that third set with an ace. His ball taken there by Haslinga, middle to Dynam, and he uses the hands and goes out of bounds. 2-point lead restored, 4-2 Golden Bears.
It's a good swing from Dynam. We'll get another look here as it's almost corralled by the hands of Lincoln Baines, but just trailing off outside the aerial and outside the court there.
Serve just long, side out Calgary.
I think that was a big piece of Alberta's, I guess, shortcomings there in the third set, and we've seen that kind of trickle into this fourth, is their service. They haven't been able to string together those runs like they were doing in the first and second because they're going back and missing their first serve opportunity more than we've seen them in the early stages of this match. So in order for them to kind of steal some points on defense, they have to activate rallies with a first make.
Big time block there by Kunzmann and Hazelden. The international connection, Germany and Australia teaming up for the block.
And what a big connection that is. And it's tricky. Cam Kern, we've said it enough tonight, he's not typically a left side. So to force him to pass that ball and expect him to get outside, get an approach and attack that challenges such a towering block like that, it's a tall order for any left side. So there, he's just bested by the block.
Out of the back row, Canham blocked back to the Alberta side, kept alive, and then a nice find. Elgert to Dynam, and talk about middle setter connections. I mean, those two played together in club with Fogg, now together here at University of Alberta. I mean, I think he knows exactly where his middle is going to be in that situation.
And we, of course, Alberta wasn't able to get a lot of the middle going in that third set, and clearly we're seeing Calgary having some success getting positive block touches on the pins against Alberta. So I'm curious to see, will Elgert try and utilize more of the middle and pipe attack here as we see him select the overload once again, and it's Heslinga who puts that one away. Not taking my advice, and I don't blame him.
You know, it's interesting how, it's so funny how volleyball works, right? We're talking about all the different dynamics of being down to nothing and winning a set and coming back, and how does Alberta respond? Well, they didn't have 6 points at them until almost the late stages of that third set. Now here they are, up 2 points early, and this is a little bit more of the Alberta team we saw in the first two sets. That ball goes wide and side out to the Dinos, and it'll be Hazelden who'll go back to serve. 6-5, Dinos trailing by 1, but right in it in this fourth set. Definitely a little bit buoyed by the way that third set went, I would think. I'm sure they feel pretty good, but realize there's still a lot of work left to be done. Outside, Heslinga, Godwin got a piece, but not quite enough. 7-5, Golden Bears.
Great side out there from the Golden Bears getting that first one, and that is just a locked and loaded pass from Landon Curry. He was outside his midline, but you see his platform make the adjustment and tight with the platform. Just a textbook pass from the libero there.
Dynam serve into the net. And maybe that's why, you know, we see Coach Davidic use that substitution with Wiebe, as, you know, he likes the ability to bring in a different player, and it gives some flexibility. He can actually serve twice. With this new rotation, it'll be interesting to see, because Dynam likely won't serve a third time. You'll be curious to see if Davidic will go to Wiebe the second time Dynam goes back to serve. I think that will likely happen as Godwin gets the kill on the left side there.
Interesting change up there from Godwin, as this isn't the hardest swing we've seen from him, but it's well located. He just sees the block kind of dive in one-on-one, opening up that line shot. He clearly has great court vision, seeing that and just chopping it high down the line, beating the sixth defender to the spot.
Ball's passed tight, saved by Elgert. Canham out of the back row, almost went over the center line, but managed to stay on his own side. Play continues for the Dinos. Hazelden on the C-ball. Touch there at the net by the Bears. Slow down, outside, left side, Heslinga. Diving save there by Hazelden. All the way back outside to Godwin, but it's the block of the Golden Bears who team up. And it's now a 1-point lead restored for Alberta.
Looks like Godwin, this is a difficult set across court. Looks like he tried to go back to that higher line shot, but that set just didn't get to a peak where he could challenge the physicality of the Golden Bear outside block there, which of course was Max Elgert. Now he's back to serve, seeing if they can extend this lead at all.
Pass off the net by Elchuk. Soroshka steps inside to set Godwin, and I don't think that one ever got over the net. 4-hit violation against the Dinos. See the replay here, went up and just clipped the tape, never quite made it over. John Stone selling that one hard as well, making sure the referee knew. The 2-point lead back to the Golden Bears. Another pass off the net. Sora on the run. Godwin looks to roll it over. Kept alive. It's going to be a scramble play coming here. Takes the setter out of the play. Sroshka sets Hazelden out of the back row. A little bit behind him, but still manages to put a little bit enough pace on it to put Alberta a little bit of trouble. But then it's Canham who goes off the block and down, wipes it off their hands. 10-7 now, Golden Bears.
Impressive broken play set there as we see that ball going corner to corner, and we've complimented how impressive it is for the Golden Bears offense and the just dynamic athlete that Cam Kern is, but what a wonderful outlet it is to have him on the floor to make those broken play sets, because that was right on the money all the way from the corner to corner. Huge play from him, but that is more than possible when you have a setter playing in a different position.
Yeah, no kidding. That's a great luxury to have. As you see Hazelden here out of the back row, just kind of almost just kind of wrists it over. He's so high up there that Curry got a piece but wasn't able to corral it. Side out Dinos. They needed that one. Didn't want to fall behind by 4. Middle attack, but the block is there. Lincoln Baines says no way. It's now just a 1-point game.
Big time block as John Stone is up on time. Great pass, but we see Baines is fronting that 31. He's shifting all the way over, not allowing that blocker to get to the lane without him being in front of it. So that is a great read by him. A little bit dicey considering we know how effective Canham is on the right, but I mean, if that's the decision they make and they set into that lane, they're rewarded with that call.
11-9 Golden Bears. Slinga. Pass there by Soroshka. Hazelden out of the back row and just uses that block, and that thing is, we said before there was one that was 8 rows up. I think that might have been 30 rows up here. We see the replay. Look at this thing, the force that comes off of this block. And that might have got a little bit of the head of Kern as well, I think. 11-10, Alberta leading, Sora serving. Sora serve, just floated over, passed there by Kern. Canham finishes it off with the kill down the line, 12-10.
And that is what Calgary gives up when they begin to front the middles of the Alberta Golden Bears. I mean, great work by Lincoln Baines. He's almost there, but he's not there right on time, and it just opens up a little bit more options. It also makes the outside blocker for Calgary take a little bit more responsibility into the middle of the court, and that opens up the line. With a dynamic attacker like Canham, he's going to identify that more often than not.
Alberta get a big-time block there on Hazelden as it's Dynam. We haven't seen Hazelden slow down too many times tonight, but he got him on that one. That's actually going to lead to a timeout by Coach Durant. 13-10, Alberta Golden Bears here in set number 4. You know, interesting, a little bit of tidbit here. Ted Glass says that the Alberta bench, you know, they've just been firing all night here, really keeping the energy up, but they actually have been given a warning that it's getting a little bit too excessive. But, you know, I think that's one of those things where you're willing to live with that. When you just drop a set like that in the third, right, you're willing to push that as far as you can and really trying to get those guys going on the bench. And I actually like that. I think that's great that the Alberta bench is really trying to keep the energy and keep the team on the court moving forward here. And it's obviously working as they lead 13-10 now here in this 4th set.
This is a grind, Jared. These teams are clearly tightly contested. It is obviously a very physical game right now. They are attacking all out, serving all out, blocking all out, and you need that little bit extra emotional, spiritual support from your bench. And if they can be loud, they can be energetic, they can really propel you and keep your spirits and your energy up on the floor. Like I said earlier, it is a full team game.
Yeah, and I think this is, you know, this is a road game for both teams essentially, right? They don't have a home crowd to really draw off of, and you also don't have the home crowd to go against, right? That's kind of the interesting thing about these neutral site games at national championships, as we see Calgary get the side out. But sometimes when you're in a really hostile environment on the road, that can also pump you up, right? Because you can kind of use their energy to create your own. When you're at home, obviously you have your own fans to prop you up. Here, where, you know, people are just out here supporting the championship, you're not really getting either or. You have some family here, you have some friends here, So then the bench then really becomes that source for you. And, I think that's a great lesson for younger volleyball players when they're not on the court. They think they don't have a role. No, you absolutely do have a role. And I think the big thing to it as well is you just are so much more engaged into the match. When you treat it that way, if your number does get called, you're ready to go because you feel like you've been engaged this whole time. And, we see both teams here, both their benches. We're getting great shots from the cameramen here that is showing these guys are supporting everybody all the way through as we see a service ace there from Canham, and now Alberta only 1 point away. And look at that, that's the energy. That's the kind of support you want from the guys on your team, and I love that. I think that's amazing. That's exactly what you want from your guys who aren't on the floor. So Canham will serve one more time. 15-11 is the score. Ball gets passed over the net. Let's see if Alberta can take advantage. Back row, Canham. And that's a perfect shot right into the corner. Alberta has found their groove once again in set number 4. They lead 16-11 at the technical timeout.
We knew this was coming, Jared. I mean, they have been kind of backs against the wall after taking a beating there in that third set. We knew that eventually this offense would click once again, and that's a darn near perfect shot. I mean, tagging where the end line connects to the sideline, there's just no defender going to be playing there, and no matter how hard you work as a defender to get deep down the line, that is still going to be over your head. Considering the height that Canham contacts that ball, that's just a nightmare shot for a defender.
So Calgary had everything go their way in the third, but now down 2-1 and down 16-11. What can they do to swing this back into their favor?
They have to revert back to what was so successful for them in that third set, and it was the service pressure. We've seen Alberta much too comfortable offensively here in this fourth set, and they've only begun to grow and grow in their aggression due to the good passing. So they need to apply a little bit more pressure, and it was actually the Calgary float servers who were putting Alberta's backs against the wall from the service line. So if you can see them amp up a little bit of the aggression, maybe finding a little bit more of a seam and perhaps keeping it on Kern a little bit more. He seemed to be the one who was struggling as we see a service error from the Golden Bears. I think that could be the key to Calgary closing this gap, and there's a lot of time for them to do it here in this set, and obviously a lot on the line. So there's no time like the present. We'll see if Lincoln Baines can be the one to do it.
Yeah, I think if you're Calgary, you're just looking to hold. Each time you're just looking to get one hold. We side out at 100%, next few points. Okay, and this is chip. Get one here, get one there. Next thing you know, we'll be tied kind of 22, 23 if we can sort of go in with that mentality. As we see some trying to be extended there, and I don't think that ball is going to quite get over the net. So unfortunate break there for the Dinos, but that's okay. You can afford to exchange side outs a couple times. You just really can't afford to give away any more points when Alberta is serving. That's going to be the big key here. They got to really lock down when they're trying to side out. So it will be Cam Kern who goes back to serve. And you got to think this experience for Kern playing left side is just going to make him a better volleyball player, right? I mean, how many guys can say they played out of position, started in a national semifinal, but Dynam on the 30, big time kill, just making it that much harder for Calgary. We will see a timeout now with a 6-point lead. Coach Durant wants to talk things over. 18-12 Golden Bears.
That's impeccable court vision from Max Elgert there. We've been talking about the Calgary middle blockers. How are they following their responsibility? Are they leaving their assignment and reading out to the pins? That time we catch Kunzman not following his middle attacker. Elgert identifies that right away, and he fires that ball into the open gap, and Dynam is going to make do on that. Fantastic offense being run, and this one's getting a little bit carried away here. Calgary is going to need a response immediately following their final timeout here, Jared, if there's any hope for them to try and take this fourth set.
Yeah, it's got to be right here, right now. We can't let this gap get any bigger. 6 points is going to be difficult as we approach into this last part of the fourth set. But if we've seen anything from this Calgary team, we know they're going to keep fighting. We know they're going to keep bringing the energy. Just got to maybe execute a little bit higher here as we go towards the end and approach the 20s. So let's see what happens out of the timeout. Ball passed back to the Alberta side. Elgert to Heslinga, diving save by Sora. Hazelden, high ball outside. Shiroshka slowed down but kept alive. Dynam dug up there by Godwin. Sora back to Hazelden, and Hazelden just mishit and goes wide out of bounds. And each point that Alberta scores are just getting that much closer to advancing to tomorrow's national championship gold medal game. You just see, just missed that one.
Yeah, it's the right shot there from Hazelden. He's doing the right thing, trying to challenge the fingertips. He's missing by a fraction, and that is just a really tough break at a crucial time.
Kern serve into the net, so there's the side out Calgary needs. But at this point now, I alluded to it a few points ago, you can exchange a little bit, but you got to start earning somewhere in here too. If you just exchange, you're just going to lose 25-19. You got to find a way to get some holds somewhere along the way to get this thing back to even if they can. With Hazelden on the line, he can definitely put this Alberta team in trouble. Took something off of that one there, actually. I think it caught Alberta a little bit by surprise. He didn't quite go full offense on that one. Maybe 80%, I would say. And it caught Hslinga in a little bit of a bad spot.
Now the tendency when you take a little bit off of a spike serve like that is for it to float ever so slightly. And this Mikasa volleyball, it can dance on you. So if it's not a full, true topspin, it becomes very difficult to pass.
Hslinga on the left, dug up there by Elchuk. High ball outside, Sroyshka goes down the line. Kanamgar saves it, but he can't really corral it. And it's now just a 4-point game, so a good response here by the Dinos.
Absolutely, and they're battling for these points, and I think that is so important for their momentum and their mental approach to the latter part of this fourth set, Jared, as I believe Alberta takes a timeout to counter the momentum that Calgary has began to build. But to my point, you just need to really battle, and if you earn those kind of scrappy plays, like that was a broken play set from the middle Kuntzman, he just slings one out. It's not a perfect set, but you're still able to find a way to score on a play like that. That gives your team confidence. That gives you the belief that we can score no matter the situation, no matter how much we're trailing, no matter how long or deep into a set we are. We're able to earn no matter the situation. And if you have that confidence, it really gives you the belief that this set isn't over. And I'm sure Calgary can approach it with that kind of mindset, but to see it practically and earn points in that way, that is what's going to propel them to the possibility for a comeback here. And they've done a great job closing this gap.
Yeah, nice little response, couple points in a row. So they got a few of those holes, and this is what they need. Got to get a couple points on their serve to get back into this set. At least they've forced Alberta to call timeout, make things think them over, but it's Hslinga who bails his team out of trouble there, gets the kill, and it's now a 5-point advantage, 20-15.
Cam Kern just dialing 3 on that one, putting it right on the dot for his setter, and an easy sling to the left side. Big kill for the Golden Bears, 5 points now away from a berth in the national final.
We are going to see a substitution here for the Golden Bears. This time it's Graydon Wiebe who's going to finish the set serving. Saw him starting the first 3 sets. Coach Davidek using a bit of a different rotation in this set here. Sroyshka off the block and out of bounds. Nice swing there.
These Calgary left sides really seem to be challenging the line, and I don't know if that's intentional or if that's a decision from Coach Durant, but it seems to be providing them with a lot of success. They've picked up a lot of kills off the outside blockers. So we'll see if that continues. They're going to need it to, as this one is just a 4-point gap and a good server in Sroyshka with the ball in his hand here.
Sroyshka kind of getting frozen out here a little bit. I don't know if the referees are just discussing things, but the whistle has been blown now, and he'll look to put the serve in play and continue to chip away at this Alberta lead in set number 4. Ball's passed tight, and Elgert just flushes it down. 21-16.
Excellent choice from Elgert. We know he's more than capable of distributing that ball elsewhere and not exclusively forced to dump due to the tight pass, but that is how he started this set, or pardon me, the sets earlier. He got 2 dumps right away. He's gone away from it, but sometimes you can just catch the other team off guard when it's just been put on ice for so long.
Hazelden out of the back row, dug up, kept alive. Calgary's going to get another swing at this here. Left side, Godwin. Oh, and a diving attempt there by Elgert, but he isn't able to come up with it. Side out, Dinos.
You have to respect the grittiness of this Dinos team, but as you mentioned earlier, it needs to be more than just siding out. It needs to be more than just returning some tough offense from the Alberta side when they're serving. You need to steal a few on defense. We'll see if this is the rally they can do it with.
Dug up there by Sroyshka. Middle to Baines. Kept alive by Kern. And just kind of rolled over there by Canham. Play continues. Baines, another tip. Takes the diving Hslinga out of the play. He's going to send a free ball over here to the Dinos to see if Calgary can do something with it. Hazelden, back row, off the hands and down. Another point here for the Dinos, and they're doing their best to close this gap, 21-18.
It's been primarily that left side that Calgary's going to in these transition opportunities. Finally, we see Sora flick this one behind him to Hazelden, and he makes do. I think we're back to that conversation we've had enough times tonight. At what point does Hazelden just begin to get every single ball in transition, because he's clearly more than capable of scoring the ball from the front or back court, regardless if he's got 2 hands, 4 hands, or even 6 hands in front of him.
Yeah, I don't think there's any matchup that he's not willing to go up against. Be curious to see how these last few points transpire in this 4th set. When that middle tip finds the sideline, Billy Johnstone gets the kill, 22-18.
Fantastic pass from Heslinga there. He's contributing in all areas right now. It doesn't matter if it's attack or defense or serve receive. He's getting the job done for his Golden Bear team and his teammates.
Ball passed up there. Back row, Hazelden. Oh, and he's blocked by Billy Johnstone. They got the look that they wanted, but Johnstone gets the block, and it's now just 2 points away for this Golden Bears team.
Johnstone is one of those players who plays with so much emotion, so much passion out there. He's constantly looks like he's having a good time regardless of what he's doing. And that is a player that if you let him earn the 23rd point on a possible set that pushes them to the national final, he is going to only grow and make the players around him better due to that execution. So that's a huge point for many, many reasons for the Alberta Golden Bears.
Ball's passed off the net. Nice dig there by Heslinga. Back to Canham. And it's a nice play there at the net. It's Godwin who gets the block. 23-19. Calgary, pretty much do or die time now. So here we go, 23-19. And it's going to be the setter Sora who will be serving. Alberta just 2 big points away from advancing to tomorrow's national championship, but Calgary doing everything they can to extend this to extra points and get it to a 5th set. Nice pass there. Pipe to Heslinga, and Calgary unable to come up with the dig. And we now have a match point opportunity in semifinal number 1.
That block touch is just so faint. It slows it down and takes it off of the platform of the defender in position 5 for Calgary. Unfortunate. Both positions doing exactly what they need to do, just at kind of times that counteract each other. Difficult pill to swallow there for Calgary. We'll see what comes of this match point.
So we have substitution for the Golden Bears. Number 14, Owen Murray has checked back in. Let's see if he can finish it off here for his team. Not a great pass. It's over bump, and it's finished off by the Golden Bears, and they take it 25-19, and they win this match 3-1 and advance to tomorrow's national championship match. The Alberta Golden Bears are victorious.
Incredible match from both sides. As we mentioned pregame, this is the 8th time these teams have met this season alone. That is an incredible, incredible amount of tilts that these two teams have shared so far this season. Congratulations to both sides. They are not finished here at this national championship, Jared. As you mentioned, Alberta will go on to the gold medal match to face either the Trinity Western University Spartans or their opponent, the Sherbrooke Verte Or. Calgary, on the other hand, they will still be playing for that bronze medal. They will await the loser of that match that is coming up very shortly.
So we know we will be Alberta, who has booked their ticket 4 p.m. tomorrow, and they will await the winner of this next match between the number 1 ranked Trinity Western University Spartans and the number 5 ranked Sherbrooke Verte Or. Calgary, unfortunately, not able to take that last step that they wanted, but they still have a lot to play for tomorrow at 1 p.m. in the bronze medal game, as we see the teams have lined up here on the court as we await the presentation of the Macassa Player of the Game presented by Nike Team. And, you know, I think we got to give some credit to Calgary. Down 2-0, came out and played a fantastic 3rd set, forced this to a 4th, and then it was Alberta who just stepped a little bit up there and just took this match back. And I think they were the better team today. They deserve to get the W. We're going to see the Nike Player of the Game, Macassa Player of the Game presented by Nike Team is Eric Godwin, and this is actually being presented by Brian Enns, a U of M legend, a former, at the time, CIS Player of the Year. Won a couple national championships here at the University of Manitoba. He's presenting the awards on courtside. We'll see who is selected for Alberta. And for the Golden Bears, the Macassa Player of the Game presented by Nike team is Jordan Canham. I think both were great selections and big parts of the team's success today for Calgary and Alberta, respectively. And whoever is victorious in this next match, they're going to have their hands full with Alberta. I think we know the history between Trinity Western and Alberta. These two programs have been at the forefront now for, going on close to 20 years. They've had so many massive games over the last couple seasons. And if it's Sherbrooke, what a wrinkle that would be. The bit of a, kind of a Cinderella story, I would say, for being back in the tournament for the first time in a few years. But that'll basically wrap it up for us here in semifinal number 1 in Winnipeg. Adam, any final thoughts before we go?
Just want to congratulate both of these teams, obviously, on a hard-fought semifinal. They put it all out there trying to advance to that gold medal game. So congratulations to Alberta for making it there. And we expect nothing but more competitive match play from Calgary in their bronze medal game tomorrow. Stick with us and tune in tomorrow. We're looking forward to it.
So that'll do it for us here tonight. Adam and myself are stepping aside. We have the other crew who will be with you for semifinal number 2. That's going to be about 25 minutes away, so make sure you tune back in and see a fantastic semifinal between Trinity Western and Sherbrooke. Best of luck to both teams. We will see you later tonight. Have a good one.
CBC, brought to you in part by Les Championnats U-Sport. Vous êtes présenté par the Government of Canada, le gouvernement du Canada. Barron, exclusive supplier of U-Sports Championship rings. Le fournisseur exclusif des bagues des championnats U-Sport. Nike Team, just do it. Faites-le. Veriburn, medical supply partner of varsity athletics since 1979. Partenaire de sport universitaire depuis 1979. Fox 40, celebrating a decade of the Fox 40 U-Sports Coach of the Year program. Fier partenaire des prix de l'entraîneur de l'année U-Sport depuis 10 ans. Mikasa, l'étoile montante du volleyball. Le V200W, ballon officiel de U-Sport. Mikasa, makers of volleyball's hottest star, the V200W, official volleyball of U-Sports.